Hello and welcome back. My name is Gentrovo. I'm here to bring you another top 10 list today. Today I'm examining the top 10 starting pitchers right-handed of all time. 10 through 2, I don't think there's going to be any shocks or surprises. However, my number one might start some controversy, so let's get this thing going. Starting in at my number 10 is a St. Louis Cardinal legend. His name is Bob Gibson. 251 wins, over 3,000 Ks, 127 ERA plus, 1.19 WHIP. He won two Cy Youngs, won an MVP. He was a premier pitcher of the 1960s and a little bit of the early 70s, and he's my number 10. Coming in at number 9 is the most winningest pitcher of all time. His name is Cy Young. There's been an award named after this guy. He has 511 wins. He has the most innings pitched of all time, the most hits, the most losses, the most games started, 749 complete games, an ERA plus of 138. Really excellent. Now, if you think this might be low for Cy Young, just listen to my next people on the list, and we can start the debate there. Cy Young, great pitcher, but I still think that there are 8 people that are better than him. Coming in at number 8 is a New York Met. Great pitcher of the late 60s and throughout the 70s. His name's Terrific Tom Seaver. Over 300 wins, 3 Cy Young awards, great ERA plus, dominant right-hander of his day, and one of my favorite historical pitchers of all time, Tom Seaver, number 8. Coming in at number 7 for me is a very controversial figure. Now, I'm not going to deny this person's greatness. It's Roger Clemens. Over 350 career wins, 143 ERA plus, 7 Cy Young awards, an MVP, World Series titles. Now, I think Roger Clemens is great. However, I do think the back half of his career is shrouded in a little bit of controversy. So would he have had that many victories? Would he have lasted that long? Would he have been that dominant, especially within his 40s? I don't know. You never know. You can't tell that stuff. But he still, I think, deserves a place in the top 10 discussion. Because he was a wonderful righty. Had a game where he struck out 20 guys. So that's my number 7, Roger Clemens. Coming in at number 6 for me is the strikeout king himself, Mr. Nolan Ryan. I think the exact number is 5,714 Ks, over 200 complete games, over 300 wins. Never won a Cy Young. That's kind of nuts if you think about it. Now, throughout the course of his career, he was a 500 pitcher. I get it, but like the clubs that he played for, like throughout most of the years, he didn't play for that many great ball teams. Nolan Ryan, if you want a quintessential example of durability, of longevity, of sheer greatness from being a young kid into your old man age, Nolan Ryan is the perfect example for that. So you have to put a strikeout king on this list. He's dominant, clearly the best strikeout pitcher of all time, Nolan Ryan. Okay, I'm going to cheat, and I did this on my third base list, but I'm going to put 2 guys in my number 5 spot. So essentially this is the top 11. I think these 2 guys are pretty much identical. You can argue one's better than the other, but I'm going to say my number 5s are Christy Mathewson and Grover Alexander. Both of them, Pete Alexander. Both of them had 373 victories. Grover had a few more shutouts because he pitched a little bit longer. They both had ERA pluses. One was 136, one was 135. The latter, Grover, being 135. Their WHIP was very, very, very close. Like when they were on for their 5 or 6 year period where they were dominant, when Mathewson was dominant in 05-ish to the 11 or 12, and then when Pete Alexander was dominant from 11 or 12 to 19, 18 and 20 or whatever, like they were the best of the best, with the exception of one guy. But I have to put them at number 5 tied because I think essentially they're the same pitcher. So that's my number 5, Christy Mathewson and Pete Alexander. Number 4 for me is Chicago Cub, Atlanta Brave, Los Angeles Dodgers, San Diego Padre. Greg Maddux is my number 4. I think he was the best pitcher of the 1990s. For all of the entire decade of the 90s. Maybe one guy was better than him. But 4 Cy Youngs in a row from 1992 to 1995. He won 15 games for 15 consecutive seasons. Nobody's ever done that. I don't think anybody's ever going to do that again. I think that's one of those untouchable records. But Greg Maddux, to me, despite what you think the umpires gave him strike calls or whatever, Greg Maddux was a master. Beautiful, beautiful artist on the mound. So that's my number 4, Greg Maddux. Okay, my number 3, probably maybe other people's 2 or 1, I'm going to go Pedro Martinez. He has the best ERA plus for a righty. He was one of the best to watch of all time, especially in that All-Star game when he struck out all those major home run hitters, McGuire, Sosa. And watching Pedro on the mound was watching masterpieces probably unfolding. His whip, his ERA plus, just his stuff, his breaking ball. Oh my gosh, his breaking ball. And his changeup. Oh, beautiful changeup, Pedro. He's my number 3. One of the best, Pedro Martinez. Coming in at number 2 for me is probably a lot of people's number 1. I'm going to go Walter Johnson, the big train. 417 victories, 110 shutouts. That's the most of all time. He was the strikeout king until dethroned by Nolan Ryan. He had 2 MVPs for whenever, however that worked back in those days. And he pitched for a losing club for the majority of his career. He was on a losing team, and he won 20 ball games plus year in and year out. He was amazing. I think his delivery was just phenomenally good. I don't suspect he's going to be in anybody's past top 5. Walter Johnson defined dominance of pitching. And he got to win a World Series in 1924. So there you go. He's got his World Series and his MVPs and his 417 career victories. He's my number 2, Walter Johnson. Okay, before I get to my number 1, I do have some shout outs I want to give for honorable mentions. I want to throw Addie Joss out there, Ed Walsh, Three Finger Brown, Fergie Jenkins, Kid Nichols, Juan Marichal. Am I missing anybody? No, I think that's it. There might be a couple other ones, but those are the names that I also considered as well. So those are my honorable mentions. All right, coming in number 1 for me is a man that I'm not going to mention any stats for. He is Leroy Satchel Paige, the greatest right-handed pitcher of all time. Now, I know all the stat nerds can say, hey, you don't have the numbers to back that up. I understand that. But I'm going to go off folklore and legend and the fact that, hey, probably the best pitcher of his age in the 1930s didn't get to play in the major leagues. So say what you want, but I'm really going to throw this out there and just think I probably would suggest to you that Leroy Satchel Paige is the greatest right-handed pitcher of all time. That's my number 1, Satchel Paige. Argue below. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Leave a comment and down below. Give me some feedback. I appreciate that, guys. Until next time, take care.